Footy, the AFL podcast where good friends gather and gab about last week's games, this week's games, and everything in between. You can find us on YouTube, Rumble, and Spotify. So go please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm your host, Nathan Norman, joined, as always, by the second best podcaster in the world.
He's back.
Daniel, the Big Daddy Ravy. Dan, what's going on?
Nathan Milton Norman, just in the words of music royalty himself, Billy Joel, Harry Truman, Doris Day, Red China, Johnny Ray, South Pacific, Walter Ritchell, Joe DiMaggio, Joe McCarthy, Richard Nixon, Stu Baker, Television, North Korea, South Korea, R.I.P. Marilyn Monroe. I mean, damn, we didn't start the fire on the weekend in the tips, did we? But we bloody put a few out. How were we?
What, in the tips?
Man, what a weekend. I've just been smiling all weekend after my fine effort.
You did have a good, you've had a good couple of weeks in the tips, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Arch Nemesis just sort of fell away a bit there, and I don't think anyone else in his household got too many either, and good to see your parents fell over as well. So
hey, look, I got a nice 7. So I was only one below.
Yeah, it's me, mate. The cream rises to the top, as they say.
And the two of us, the cream of all for footy. There's no one creamier.
We tried to tell people all year, haven't we?
We're at the top of the tips. This is the leadership. This is the leadership you can expect.
No one else was allowed on the show tonight after numerous requests to be on. We've been palming people off left, right and centre. Exactly. We thought, as we progress through the rounds and we get down to the pointy end, why not have the two most informed tippers?
My mum is coming third. I did extend the invite. She did politely decline.
No one likes bronze, you know. That's a phrase. So,
yeah, come on.
Yes.
I'm barely squeezing in. But no, it is good to see, all for footy comp, and two of the hosts are at the top. That is,
it's not
that's reputation.
It's definitely not rigged.
And shout out to Fenno, Big Will himself. He was the main threat last year when I won the tipping comp. He was my main threat. He's gone.
Left him in his wake.
Man, he's just not even competing. Like, what's he doing? Like, really, you gotta just say, like, poof. Where are you, mate?
They say you take one eye off the ball, and the world catches up with you.
Well, that's it.
And
well,
they say in tips.
There's your shout-out, Wheels. And, I guess we'll move into this week's games, shall we?
Yeah.
All right, well, this is going to be a fun one.
Hopefully, maybe if he gets over 5 this week, we'll let him back on the tips next week.
Let's not make promises we can't keep.
Because we want informed tipsters on the show leading into the end of the year.
We do want
all you dedicated listeners out there that want to actually have good weeks in tips. So
that's right.
Stick with us and we'll make you witch.
Make us which?
Which? Like deep pockets, rich.
Oh, which?
Which?
Like witches, yes.
No, rich.
Yeah, no, I gotcha.
Rich.
No, I heard you. Anyway, we're into this week's games.
Already?
Yeah. This week's games. So, Friday night at Marvel Stadium, it was Carlton versus Port Adelaide. Carlton 9-11-65. Port Adelaide 11-13-79. Port Adelaide by 14 points. Another upset. Carlton slipping on a banana peel, Reeves.
Well, they had the power to win, didn't they? And from the start of the game, you just knew that Carlton... they still played some pretty good footy during the night, but they just didn't look like a side that should be sitting second on the ladder, playing for a potential top 2, almost a top 4 lock away. It just didn't look like that was what they were dishing out. So, they've had a few concerns with their list, with a few in and out, with the ruck, and, they're just still trying a few bits and pieces here, but... At the moment, it just looks like if their stars, and I'm talking Cripps, Kerno, aren't pulling it off, that the rest of the side aren't exactly carrying them too far. And Port, on the other hand, didn't they play like a team possessed? Real team effort. And Radigalia up forward, just giving them a real presence to go with Dixon, who didn't have a lot of the footy on the night, but he was able to bring a lot of ball to ground. And, they're looking scary all of a sudden, Port, with... Willie Rioli down there, and with just a plethora of their small forward who are just really getting their hands on the footy as well, to go with Boak and Wines through the middle with a bit of experience with their young gun midfield. They're very impressive, Port. So it was a great win. And, I just feel like the juggernaut's alive at Port, especially after that win. And I reckon they think they can pretty much beat anyone, anywhere. So...
But, I don't know.
Believing within the walls. Because about 4 weeks ago, it probably was, you weren't sure where they were at, and they lost a few games. When they lost to Brisbane, there was a few question marks, but it feels like they've just freed themselves up a bit. They've gone, you know what, let's enjoy footy, and they're just not putting a world of pressure on themselves by the looks of things. Maybe whether the coach goes or stays, everyone's just content. And, they're just playing relentless footy. They're taking it on. They went through the middle as hard as I've seen a team go through the middle the other night.
Yeah.
Occasionally almost dangerous, but then it became a 50-50 ball in the middle. And when they won it, it was just a goal. So they kicked something like 12 of their goals from turnovers. So, it was really interesting to see the way Port are going about it. And I actually think they're a little bit dangerous coming down the outside there, playing that brand of footy.
They're the last team to beat Doggies.
Yeah, they're going to play every
Doggies
game.
have been on fire as well, so... Yeah.
That's a good point actually. I hadn't put that together, because I obviously looked at recent form, but with their loss, more than I probably analysed the wins, but to have beaten Doggies, who their form stats up major, so good pick up.
Yeah, it wasn't just a small win.
No, they gave him a touch up. So, and that was the week after the Brisbane game, wasn't it? So... No, Port, to me, they really jumped off the page the last few weeks. I think since that tight game against St Kilda, who also can be a slippery peel when they're playing at the Dome in a low-scoring game, they got the win. If they hadn't have got that win, I feel like it just might have gone the other way an inch with the club. So sometimes you're just hanging in there by inches, aren't you? But I feel like they've got a chip and a chair, and they're at the game of poker now, and they're in the game.
Yeah, well.
So good on them. Good win on the weekend, that, and I'm glad I tipped them.
Yeah, look, still think Carlton are going to make the 8 at the end of the year, so...
Look, they're going to make the 8, but
I
at the
think
moment...
they've got a couple of good games coming up.
They've really got to free up a bit, don't they, and just start probably taking it on. Be happy to lose in a manner that's going to get you 17 goals on the board. Which on the weekend, it probably didn't look like they were trying to score. They had Curnow back behind the ball for... periods of the second late in quarters there, and sometimes you think it's just a little bit too much when you could just have him forward and get another goal. So a lot of question marks.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it unfolds. Well, is this the banana peel that Carlton
it's a banana
usually
peel.
Slip on near the end of the year?
It's a banana peel month now.
I'm used to them slipping on it a bit earlier.
Yeah.
But right at this moment, some Blues fans have got to be on the edge.
Still plenty of time. I mean, we've seen it with clubs like Port, for example. It's just been a few weeks, so... good luck for Carlton. I mean, they got Collingwood this week.
It's a big old even club. Yeah, that should be a good one.
Pendles is 400, so I mean, it doesn't get any easier.
What does that matter? Yeah, no, well, look, they've got a pretty decent run. One line. So yeah, I see them comfortably sitting in the 8 at the end of the year.
They'll make it, but cool.
We'll see how they go.
Need the top
They're falling
four.
off. They're falling off at the moment.
They get a top 4.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on to the next game. It was Saturday football at the Bluntstone Arena. North Melbourne versus Geelong. North Melbourne 10-6, 66. Geelong 16-10, 106. It was Geelong by 40 points, thumping North. We sort of saw it coming, didn't we, Rabes?
We did. I toyed with tipping North Melbourne last week on the pod. I believe I tipped them. But I sat there doing some close analysis pre-game. I was pacing up and down the lounge room, listening to the talk, watched the teams run out of the banner, and I just knew that Geelong were going to play a hardy game on the day. I just saw it in them. They weren't going to let this season slip away that easy, and this was one for them. And so I changed the tip, only with a few minutes to go there before the game too. And I would have been foolish. But
good save in the
North,
end.
I mean, in the end, they still showed a lot of promise. And guys like Sherry at the moment and Sheasel just playing absolute ripper footy. And he if he wins the best and fairest this year, he'll be the youngest player to have won 2 best and fairest at any club. Because he's only, he'll be 20 at the end of the year, so to already have 2 at 20 might speak a bit to the depth of the club, but he's still got to win them. But for Geelong, Stewart at the moment, isn't he just a bull going through the guts there? And
he's
absolutely
solid player.
loving watching the man do his thing. He's just racking them up in the middle, and he.
Well, I think he's all right. Like he's very
but it's the body as well. He puts on a lot of blocks, and just his body pressure compared to a lot of traditional mids who are a bit easy to move. They're not moving him, and he's standing his ground. And even if it's just a knock on or a bit of body here and there, he's super effective. Good at kicking the ball, good handling the ball. So it's been impressive watching him for weeks now. Really get that roll going, and still getting to float back just a little bit now, just to chop out, but still getting a real great balance at midfield time. And obviously Jez Cameron. He can't keep him down for 2 weeks in a row, can you?
You could try.
Oh, you can always try, but good players always find a way to. Just to get something done on the day, and he kicked his 2 sausage rolls and had his 20 touches, and he just looked a class above on the ground on the day. I thought there was a few times where he just handled the ball quite clean in the wet, and I'm just a real Jezza fan. Anyone who wears the number 5 for the Cattery, you got to marvel at them, and they don't give it away lightly, do they, Nathan?
No, do they?
No, they don't.
well, I'll take your word for it. Yeah. I know it was Ablett's number. Does it still hold relevance?
I saw a replay before the game. They showed the North versus Geelong prelim from 95, it must have been, when Ablett took the hand of God mark. When he just put one hand out and he just marked it right next to his head. And they called it the hand of God, where he just stuck it out, marked it, kicked the goal, and then the siren went, and they won by about 4 points. So they got him into the prelim with the mark.
AFL history.
Yeah, so it was the last time Geelong and North Melbourne met in a final, I believe.
Well, we will be fact-checked because the big wheel does watch.
Yeah,
the big wheel keeps turning. Another shout-out.
Maybe 99? Nah. No, actually, definitely not. But so anyway, 4 points for Geelong, and they really needed it. And it
was a good confidence booster for them.
Yeah.
But, it's just North. Big.
No,
I do think North Melbourne have probably kicked more goals this year than St Kilda have. They're just, they're not winning games.
Yeah, well, good to hear that Cam Zerha as well for North signed for 5 years.
Oh, okay.
The big fella.
Cool.
So
he's invested.
There was a bit of to-in and fro-in with him, and there's been a handful of clubs that have been into him, and they were actually leaning towards losing him, and they were probably looking at getting another couple of top picks for him.
Yeah.
Because he's a pretty solid player, but he's committed to the club for 5 years now, and you just feel like they're going in the right direction when you get a guy like him commit to staying. With Sheasel and Sherry, all of a sudden there's a bit of a spine building there, through the middle into the forward and back, and it's great signs for North to keep a couple of real key players to build a team around. So good on you, Cam. Good commitment to a footy club.
Yeah, well, North do need something.
They need something. They need a lot.
They need a few somethings.
Yeah, just a little bit, but a lot.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the next game, Saturday afternoon football at the People First Stadium. It was Gold Coast versus Brisbane. Gold Coast 9-11-65. Brisbane 13-15-93. Brisbane by 28 points. Doing the impossible in beating Gold Coast at home. Hasn't been done all year, Reeves.
I don't want to talk about it. It's the only game I tipped wrong on the weekend. I
don't know blemish.
What I was thinking, because I'd already jumped off the train of Gold Coast. I'd already ruined my...
You should have been on the friend train with
Should have been Steelo. I'm sorry, mate. I've effed up big time with this one. Yeah, and then a bit of a late charge from Gold Coast there during the third quarter, where they actually got right back into it. I'm just having a look now. Got back to about 8 points there, I reckon.
Mm-hmm.
And again in the last quarter, probably got back to within a goal or two. So they were in it, and I must admit, I think it was going for a bit of a Hail Mary, to tip Gold Coast, and they win at home again, and I laugh because everyone else tipped Brizzy.
Yeah.
So it was a real have a swing from the bleachers. But geez, they can let you down, Gold Coast, can't they? And I just imagine the thousands of members they have out there, maybe hundreds, but I'm tipping there's thousands of them, that are just gutted with the consistency. You know, I mean, 1 or 2 weeks here and there, they look bloody great, and you're talking about some of their players like they're the future stars of the comp. And then you get this, where they end up losing by 5 goals in a home game, where, you know, at least lose by 1 or 2 goals, which, you know, they had last year they lost to Collingwood at home, the only loss, and it was by about 8 points, or a goal. And this year to 5 goals, so the crowd now are just uninvested. They're not winning away. They've just seen a 5-goal loss at home.
That's their own fault.
What are they going for the rest of the year for? You know, and you were really onto something at the start of the year. I mean, it's a real letdown, and I can only imagine, Dimmer, this is it for the players. You know what I mean? You're playing for your careers and your livelihood, and we've got this moment, and we had support at the start of the year with a refresh, and we're going to end up finishing about 12th on the ladder, 11th, with 9 wins, and everyone's going to go, they were okay again, which is just nothing. So yeah,
well, step up.
I can only imagine that they've probably realised after this loss on the weekend that that's it, and it's all about next year. And you know, it doesn't matter if they win 1 or 2 now for the rest of the year, or they lose all 4, or they win all 4. You know, it just probably doesn't mean that they did enough this year. It's not going to cover enough band-aids. So
we probably expected them to be in the top 8 at the end of the year. I don't think I had them in my prediction ladders.
I think when you look at it with the list and the amount of top-end picks they've had in that, you almost look at Hawthorn. I mean, you know, they've done the long road with getting these youngsters in, and now their team's flourishing with them. Gold Coast are stacked with these players.
Yeah, and the Hawthorn's run wasn't even that long.
Rouse and all these guys, they're experienced players now. So it's not like they're just young and inexperienced. This probably was a year for them to do what Hawthorn are doing and be super hard to play. And so anyway, I mean, look,
They should swap Ben King for Jared Petty.
Swap him for
Jared Petty.
Just go Maxi up there and Ben come down here. No one will even know because they're twins. And see how they both go. But we'll give Gold Coast a flick for a sec, and we'll give Brizzy a moment, because
absolutely doing the impossible.
Isn't Fagan just happier than a butcher's dog at the moment? I mean, every time you see him on the tally,
I hate that saying.
He's just wagging his tail, going, "We're doing pretty well at the moment," and he knows he was copping it early in the year. He was well aware that people wanted him gone. He's been going through the whole issue with Hawthorn, with the outstanding coaches, you know, all that saga. And he's just sitting there right now, just smirking between his teeth, I reckon, at the whole competition. Out of the limelight up there in Queensland. He's probably down at the beach in the morning having a little quick dip. Actually heard him say on the radio today that he walks about 100 kilometres a week. So he goes for about a 10 to 20k walk almost every day. And yes, Tim Watson made the joke at the end. He goes, what was that, 100-kilometre walk? So how do you get home after that? And they all had a quick cackle.
I'd be like, shut the fuck up.
It was almost like you made the joke out of yourself sounding silly by not understanding him. But anyway, it was funny. But
was it?
But look, I'm going to give a Steve Irwin this week to Fagan.
I was going to give a Steve Irwin.
This is my Steve Irwin. You can give your own one.
Okay, we have our own ones.
And I'm just proud of the man for his patience, his resilience. You know, the long path he took to his years at Hawthorn, where he was under Clarko for a long time there, but he was never upset by that, and he did a real strong role, and now he has his chance. And yes, they haven't won one, but geez, are they hard to play almost week in, week out. And the run they're on now since probably about, round 8 or so it was when they really flipped it around.
Yeah.
Hats off to them, sitting right up there with the flag contenders, equal favourites for the premiership. Are they equal on top, or are they one game back?
No idea. Can't help you.
They're equal. Oh no, sorry, they're 1.5 games back. But so they feel like they could really storm up for the top 2 here, get that home final.
Hey, they absolutely could. That second spot's up for grabs at this point. And Brisbane, they're one of the informed teams at this point. You know, and they're really leading towards A good finals charge.
Yeah.
I think the people who are fighting in the finals, I think the teams are sort of starting to establish themselves.
They'll have a bit of hunger
give them a bit of a
too.
fight. Like, is Sydney falling off as well? But hey, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
The Sydney derailment.
Wait, stop. We'll get to that, bro. Alright?
You can't stop me.
I'll stop you.
Rick's not here to stop me this
Rick's
week.
not here to stop you. Jeez. Yeah, look. Brisbane, very comfortable win.
Go Brizzy, I'm on the ball. I'm on the train.
Breaking the Gold Coast. Breaking the Gold Coast curse. And, what more could you want? Just done. Alright. Let's move on to the next game. And it's a big one! Saturday afternoon football at Marvel Stadium. St Kilda versus Essendon. St Kilda 17-6, 108 to Essendon 8-7, 55. Essen flag is dead, I think, Reeves.
Wait, was that your door? Sort of heard knock knock.
Who's knocking on the door?
Oh, must have been Owen, because they were singing "Oh, the Saints" from the rafters of Etihad Stadium. Marvel on mate. They were up on the stands with the roof shut, hanging off the thingies because they were just crammed in there, all 39,000 under the lid there. Just singing the song until wee hours of the night. They
belting it out.
I think they got a couple of kegs delivered from the Carlton Draft United breweries down to the ground after in the middle. They just didn't even leave the ground, the players. They just sat out in the middle with
something.
They put like robes on, these cardigan things, and they just sat out there on these little plastic chairs just drinking beers all night, just singing the club song. And apparently they couldn't go back into the rooms because the Bombers supporters were lining the entrance very angry. That's why they couldn't go back in the rooms. Some very upset Essendon supporters after the game. And so I did see a scarf or a jumper or something get thrown on the ground right towards the end there, which made me laugh because I knew we'd got him by then. And we were up by a solid 8 goals in the last quarter, and it was just laughing time. So we're having a good time watching that
Laughing
game.
time.
Weren't we up and about, Nathan, watching that one? I recall you turning around to the TV while we were watching, Ben, like, geez, the Saints kicked another one. And we just kept kicking them, didn't we?
Yeah, well,
During the third quarter there, I was just about to check. I think we kicked 7 goals.
About time you guys kicked some goals.
Where were we?
I can't believe you broke the 10-goal limit. You almost pushed it to 20.
7 goals to 1 in the
This
third
has got to be
quarter.
your highest scoring game all year.
Dude, we kicked more goals in the third quarter than we've done in a couple of games this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
5
That's
in the
obvious.
first, 2 in the second, 7 in the third, and then finished with another 3.
7 in the third? That's like 90% of your matches this year.
Yeah, we've kicked 6 to 5, 6, 7 heaps of times.
Damn.
So bad signs for the Bombers.
Bad sign for the Bombers, though. Jeez.
It really shocked me, I must admit. I was very nervous before this game, thinking they're going to show up with a real intent here.
Of course.
Those low, scrappy games.
Yeah.
And they'll be right in the fight, and they'll be always in it because it'll be low scoring, and just didn't go that way at all.
I thought they were going to bury you guys.
Well, maybe not bury, but because we do attract the low scoring game, I thought, even whoever's in front will only be up by a couple of goals.
Yeah.
But, Zachy Merritt, he still played hard with his 24, but, he kicked a good goal too, actually. The Saints really just owned them, and some of my favourite watchers on the day, Mason Wood, as per usual, just does his little bit down there. And, where was he going to go for some of my favourite watchers? Like Cooper Sharman, didn't he just step up on the day and play an absolute belter of a day? They were just calling his name all the time. And Wanganeen Miller as well. Like, he had his 31 touches. And Rowan Marshall, when doesn't he play well? When doesn't he? Maybe when the game's not on. That's probably when he's not playing well. But when the game is hot, he is consistently... He's like Maxi Gorn for his output. He's very good. I'm not just trying to boast him because he's a Sainter.
I think you're boasting him because he's a Sainter a bit. Because look who the Saints are. Look at how they've played all year.
He's a very good footballer there, Mr. Rowan. And I do have his wobblehead at home. So.
Maybe.
But Membry as well, really led well up forward. And, all the Saints. We could probably settle there. Didn't Gresham have an off day? And
Oh, no, did he?
yeah, poor fella. He's probably wishing he didn't leave the Saints now. And I just
I don't
think
think
that Nathan Caddy as well up forward, it's not working anymore. He's played his handful of games and they relied on him and said he was the thing of the future. And here he is on the weekend with 0 goals. So, yeah, look, back to the drawing board for Essendon. And I don't imagine they want to hobble into finals like this. So, yes, it will be interesting to see how they play out the rest of the year.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be bad news for them. They're probably going to fall out of the 8. They haven't yet, have they?
No.
Oh no, they have.
Oh, they're
they've already fallen out of the 8.
They're
10th.
Wow.
Yeah, Hawthorn's taken over them.
Wow.
Damn, I didn't realise they fell out so quickly. Like, that's how close it was. That's how close the comp was.
Shoes.
Lose 3 games in a row, bam, you're out of the 8. Well, anyway, yeah, poor Essen flag to Essen flogs.
Or Essendon.
Or Essen Dons.
No,
It's done is good. Alright, let's move on to the next game.
Well, they're as good as done.
If we have to, it is Melbourne versus GWS at the MCG. Melbourne 12-11-83. Giants 13-7-85. Giants by 2 points. Nobody was at this game, which I think is for the best.
Yes, look, it doesn't shock me no one was there. The snow conditions during the week peaked.
They were prime. They were primo.
It was, they said, peak. And I reckon the roads were busy on Thursday and Friday nights.
Oh, coming back, yeah, you're heading up
Even
to Buller,
Saturday
yeah,
morning.
yeah,
Yeah, they
or
just would've
Hotham, or wherever the fuck snow is.
The air spaces were probably busy with the choppers and the light carriers as well. And
How do they do that shit?
I can only imagine the runs up there must have been super busy with Melbourne supporters, and
I'm sure they were.
I'm sure the wineries were all stacked on the way home as well, because everyone would have pulled in and stocked up their wineries, and so all the Melbourne supporters had the week out up in the high country by the looks of it. And
Yep.
I think they've put the queue in the rack for this season too. I mean, this game probably could have been the one. You win it, you go on a run. But I just think the Melbourne supporters know that no Petrarca, no Melbourne. I mean,
no, I wouldn't say that.
No, but isn't he just such a heart and soul? I mean, I'm not saying that you couldn't have, but you take Petrarca out of Melbourne and say, now go win the flag, and it just feels like an extra hurdle. And
I don't think it would matter even if we had Petrarca, to tell you the truth.
No, I mean, he just kicks.
Not a little bit.
He gives your team so much belief. I mean, he kicks the goals himself. He gets the ball out himself.
I still don't think we'd be in the 8.
Not to say single-handedly he'd be the difference, but I just believe as well as the club, their one eye feels a bit beaten up. They need the year to finish, freshen up, get everyone back on the track, sort out this Clayton Oliver disaster, which it's getting played out in the media at the moment, but I have it on authority that he's going nowhere.
Yeah.
You've heard it here first. I mean,
I
don't get too interested in the rumours. They've been milling him around his management, which has probably put an inch of pressure on his management in Melbourne, but you're not losing Clayton Oliver, especially not for a potential late first round pick or second round pick. You're just not giving up what he is.
We're sticking by him.
No, they are, and that's why the talk out there lately, when you hear the numbers 10 million getting banded around, that would turn into a game for the people in the media there for a few days, and well done
just
him.
Want clicks.
But geez, for a bloke who can spend some time at the bloody nightclub and doing whatever he wants for a while to be commanding said money in the millions over the next handful of years, well, I take my hat off to him. So he'd want to play good footy. Especially if Melbourne repay the faith in him here. Keep yourself on track, train hard, have a big pre-season, and I definitely don't see why next year, with Petrarca getting back to fit, Oliver, and the new forwards, the way they've picked up a few younger guys looking into the forward line there, that D's will be red hot. Melcham to really lead the brigade down forward next year.
Yeah.
Great signs for Melbourne.
He seems to have been all right since come back
in a good window.
Yeah, but we're just not...
On the weekend, they battled hard against a side that's
2 points.
genuinely pushing. So it was... I've got a lot of faith in Melbourne right now, but I think this year you're definitely just not going to have the legs maybe scraping to a final, but you're not going to push anyone.
No, I don't think so. But anyway, we lost 2 finals in a row. In 2 years, we made the finals and we're looking strong. So this year we haven't looked strong really at any point, unfortunately. And yeah, I do think a lot of that is like Clayton Oliver's just not the player he used to be.
Yeah.
This year, he hasn't really performed like he had in previous years.
When you've got the number 1 ball winner in the competition...
Yeah, he's getting like under
off
30.
His game.
Under 30 consistently.
Yeah, and then you take Petrarca out of that side.
Yeah.
You're not... So all of a sudden, the game style's based on winning the ball at the source and then locking it in their 50. It's always been their game style, and at the moment, they're not winning the ball at the source, which means how are they able to lock it in there if they're not even... So that... at the moment, the game style's alright. They just got to get back to winning it, which they will. So it's they'll stick fat. And Simon Goodwin, I mean, he's a smart man. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah, well, we did do the Brody thing for ages, Grundy thing for ages. And that wasn't a smart idea at all, really. That was just a waste of time. And really didn't help our club at all. So, I feel like that's a part of why. What led to us falling off is we tried to go down to a game style plan that just didn't work for us.
Well, didn't the 2 greens play well as well? I mean, you got Tom and
fuck
Toby.
'em.
And I think Toby, for the rest of the year, is just really going to build. I mean, he wasn't All-Australian captain last year for no reason.
Yeah.
And he hasn't had the strongest year, although he hasn't had a bad year.
That's not a bad year.
He has such lofty numbers that you probably rate him a little bit higher than your average player. But, I mean, what a bloke to have up your sleeve to potentially have a little bit more improvement and a bit more input.
Yeah.
And the Giants, I just reckon they're ticking along again here. A bit like Port, massively under the radar. But I don't see why 1 month of footy here can't give them enough propeller to be right in the conversation. Because they've got that extra win and they are up there on the ladder in the position where they're going to strike if they get a good month here.
Yeah.
So, one to watch at the moment with the Greens and Toby. I mean, doesn't Toby excite you as a captain? And look at the opportunity.
He's definitely an icon down there. He's definitely like a...
Yeah. He's got I'd love to buy the wobblehead of Toby.
A bit of the face of GWS.
Like the Dustin Martin and the Toby Green wobbleheads. Wouldn't they be wobbly?
I would never get a Dusty Martin one.
I actually went in to buy one.
Richmond
went to the Richmond merchandise shop last week. I wanted a Sharon and a Dustin Martin wobblehead. And she goes... You wouldn't believe it, but they're the 2 things in the store that we're out of at the moment.
Oh, Jesus.
We don't have any Sharons, and we're all
flying off the shelves.
Wobbleheads.
Flying off the shelves. That's it. That's what
and
it
I thought,
is.
how random. The 2 things that I just thought of before I even walked in, and I go, that's what I'm going to go get. And they were both not there. Disappointing,
Damn.
Richmond. Lift your game. Who would have thought they'd be selling so much merchandise at the moment?
Well, anyway... Melbourne, season pretty much done for. I can't believe Hawthorn have overtaken us.
Yes,
It just feels like such a weird year. Hawthorn has overtaken us of all teams. And they're definitely looking for a sniff in... Anyway, we will get to that later. Move on to the next game, because we don't need to spend any more time on that piece of shit. Fuck Melbourne. It was Saturday night football at Optus Stadium. Fremantle versus West Coast. Fremantle 17-8, 110. West Coast 11-9, 75. Fremantle by 35 points. Flagmantle.
You mean Flagmantle? Oh, aren't they just smoking along?
Yep, they are. That's exactly what they're doing.
It was a good horn they sounded too after the win. I mean, they looked a little shaky in the first half, but I feel like West Coast brought big heat. Playing under a bit of a new coaching role now, they've probably had a little bit more of a focused week. Just at play, just on field where the old coaching staff was getting a bit,
Yeah.
So, I think they really proved a lot on the weekend by staying fat, staying patient, and then grinding out a solid win in the end. How much did they win by? It was
35 points?
35 points, yeah. When, halfway through the third there, it was really tight. It was still only a goal in it. And West Coast actually had the lead into the third quarter still. So I think that's great signs for Freo, even though obviously the start, but West Coast they're not a mug side at the moment. They're not a full write-off. And they've got something to prove for the end of the year. So, yeah, good win in the end. Just a solid 4-pointer. Keep banking them. I was impressed by it. Good game of footy, actually. It was good pressure. Really good pressure in the game.
Yeah, I just think this is a very predictable sort of game.
The result,
you know.
But, I mean, West Coast been up even there at half-time.
Yeah.
It had you a little nervy. Because I actually remember thinking pre-game, if West Coast are up and about and they're in this, like if they're up at half-time, who knows how far they go.
Yeah.
They're the sort of ones where they stay in them and they usually do all right. But so a good 7-goal turnaround for Freo there in the second half, which would have made the coaching staff happy.
Yeah, well...
And Brayshaw are playing well too. They've got a lot of good players at the moment, Freo. I mean, they're really under the radar, aren't they? We don't hear a lot about these stars in Melbourne.
They're on third on the ladder.
No, but as in you don't know a lot of their names, but they're playing really well across whole lines. And they're starting to surprise me.
A lot of their players I'm just not familiar with. Like Tracy, yes. Amos, yes. Brayshaw.
I mean, O'Meara is just the gold pocket, isn't he? I mean, Hawks delisted him to get the picks in, which they're now reaping the rewards of. And hasn't he gone to another club and really revamped his career here, playing that sort of half forward role, bit of wing almost, gets his 2 goals on the weekend again with his 20 touches. Don't know how many goals he's kicked this year, but I mean, he's probably kicked... Well, that's not for the season. But, he's really impressing me, Jager O'Meara, and to me, he seems like a stock player. He's not bells and whistles, but he's definitely he's definitely nowhere near their worst player. And they've got a lot of him, a seasoned professional. He was a top 10 draft pick, and so, a lot of these players for them at the moment. Amos, obviously Fife got subbed out and he's going to be out for a couple of weeks, but it's a lot to like about Fremantle.
Yeah, they're going into the final strong, that's for sure. And, a top 4 spot, I can see it.
Shukowski. He's playing well up forward, the young fella. So a lot of no-names, you wouldn't have heard of him. And obviously Sarong.
Oh, Switkowski?
It's a funny name to pronounce.
Well, we might be pronouncing it incorrectly anyway. So
Shukowski.
Maybe we'll hear it one day.
So Luke Jackson as well. I mean, Melbourne,
fuck
really
that guy.
Missed out on a couple of just tall timbers that are now out there in the competition at Sydney and at Freo.
Luke Jackson's shit.
Yeah, he's pretty average, isn't he?
Look, like Jesse Hogan.
Yep.
That's an ex-Melbourne guy. I love that guy.
Yep. No good. All
I
these
think
players.
there's oh yeah, that's right. Doggies Harms. Love me some Harms.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's getting some games over there. But Luke Jackson, nah, not there.
No, not yet.
Brad Grundy, absolutely not.
No, not till they have premiership medallions.
No, not even then. Not even then. He was there for a year and then he fucked off. He was never Melbourne.
See what happens at
He was
Melbourne.
never Melbourne.
Once
Never.
you leave Melbourne, you hate it. You get kicked out the door and told never to come back.
Absolutely not. I still like Harms. I still like Jesse Hogan.
Do they take your lift pass off you when you get booted out of Melbourne?
Absolutely.
You lose your Mount Buller lift pass.
Bro, they take one of your nuts as well.
Ooh.
They'll cut into it and surgically remove one of them if you leave Melbourne.
Do they put it in one of those jars like they used to have at primary school, filled with the oil that they keep like the old lizards in? And you just keep a ball in there.
Yeah, but it's more like a brine. So it's like in a jar so like somebody can eat it later. But that's another thing. That's a whole different other thing. But yeah, so anyway, West Coast...
It's a good game.
Yeah.
Do you reckon Fabs enjoyed it?
I reckon he would have.
I reckon Fabs is starting to get up and about. I wonder if Fabs would make it to Queensland for the granny.
Oh, that'd be nice. See him up at Gold Coast.
I mean, it's only across the ditch.
Yeah, it's a pretty big ditch.
Yeah, it's a ditch.
Pretty big ditch, though. Alright, well, let's move on to the next game. Don't have much more to say about that stuff. It is Sunday football at the MCG. Collingwood versus Richmond. Collingwood 14-9-93. Richmond 9-13, 67. Collingwood by 26 points in a much-needed win. They needed this win. They've been on such a downturn.
I reckon Richmond fancied themselves in this one. I mean...
Maybe little.
Yeah, they They started off pretty tight. It was quite measly early. Then Collingwood just got kicked away late in the first quarter there. And then after that, they really just had like a 4+ goal lead all day there. I was looking at the bar. It's actually quite straight. And I remember watching the game just feeling like they just led by about 4 goals all day.
Yeah.
So Richmond would get one and Collingwood would just get one straight back. So very comfortable. And, at the moment for me, it's just all about Collingwood finding a gear with the team they've got. I mean, look, they're missing a couple of players, but I feel like they're actually not too bad on the injury front. Like, obviously, Myercheck missing now. And,
I just can't believe it. They've won as many games as Melbourne.
Yeah, well...
sorry.
They won a lot of games early in the year. And Dacos, I mean, isn't he one of the best players in the comp? So you're going to get a lot of wins when you're carrying Pendlebury's, Dacos's,
They've got names. They've got premiership players that won a flag.
I mean, Ned Long, what a player. So,
never heard of him.
They just, at the moment, I still feel like for some reason Collingwood can find a gear. We don't know. They might switch on and play some footy for the next month that is just unstoppable with Bobby Hill and Elliott and all these sort of names. But I'm not buying into it.
Do you know who the next games are?
They've probably got a tough run, I've heard.
So, Carlton? That's a tough game? Yes?
Well, it's average. Should be a low-quality game, really.
Sydney at Sydney? That's a tough game. Brisbane at the G? Melbourne at the G.
Really heats up, doesn't it? Because Collingwood won't go down wondering. And, they're going to take someone with them even if they go down wondering. And you feel Collingwood are the sort of team that even when they're not on or up and about, they still win games of footy at the G and big Saturday night games. They seem to find a way to just sing that song at the end of the night a lot over the years. So I wouldn't surprise me if they win 2-2 maybe going forward for the rest of the year. Doesn't get them in the finals, but they still might take someone down with them.
So clearly, you don't think they'll beat Sydney.
I think
Melbourne will be one of them.
I think maybe Carlton and Melbourne. Maybe who they got in the last game?
Melbourne.
Oh, that's the last one, isn't it?
Yeah, they got Brisbane at the G.
Oh, okay, and then Melbourne.
Melbourne's not listed yet.
Yeah, look, you'd think Brizzy would want to pay him back pretty hard for the granny there, especially probably being a current warm-up for him.
Their current form is pretty good.
So, yeah, I'll give them 2 with Melbourne defeating Melbourne and Carlton this week, which might change, but at the moment...
Yeah, well, we're not tipping them yet.
It'll be a huge game.
But, yeah, much needed win by Collingwood. About time they broke their losing streak. They've, really fallen so far from grace. And, look, we're here for it.
Oh, excuse me.
Always want to see the reigning premiers suffer the next year, that's for sure. Let's shake up the comp.
How many games have they lost in a row?
I don't know, I think 3. Hang on, I'll tell you in a sec. But, yeah, I know it's... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, and their last win was a 1 point over North. And then they smashed Melbourne. But we don't need to talk about that.
Don't just go there,
mate. All right. Well, look, I don't have much to say about this game. Richmond suck. Collingwood suck.
Yeah, we already samosas it. I already said it was a game between 2 teams that aren't playing finals, and that it was
who gives a fuck?
Didn't really build up even with the 4-goal lead all day to Collingwood.
Yeah, that's it. Alright, well then with that we'll just move on to the next game. It was Sunday afternoon football at the SCG. Sydney versus the Doggies. Sydney 7-6-48 to the Doggies. 12-15-87 the Western Flag Dogs, Reeves.
Sons of the West.
Give us the song.
Red,
give us that song.
White and blue. That's about all I'll give you.
Okay,
but, it was just... What a win. And I'm so glad I tipped the Dogs here again, because I sort of saw the writing on the wall with Sydney. I thought, Papley going down during the game too, it really hurt him, didn't it? And then, Yeah,
you tipping the Dogs. Jesus fuck.
And that Jamara, I mean, isn't he just the form player of the comp at the moment? And kicking 4 more sausage rolls, thank you very much. And Adam Treloar really just doing his little bit at the moment. And I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say he should sneak on the bench for All Australian. You know, body of work over the last few years. I mean, I'm not sure if he's been in. I don't think he has. And sometimes it's hard to just crack in. So to earn a bench, you know, I mean, you mightn't get one of the top 3 gigs. Yeah. Some of Sydney's depthy players there. But I just think Treloar is worthy. And he might almost be having a better year than the Bont. I mean, the Bont had his 22 on the weekend.
Treloar is having a lot of...
He kicked a goal. Yeah. But Treloar has been having mid-30s almost week in, week out all year. And
pretty consistently getting 40 disposals a week.
He's a
pretty
unit.
good.
He's an absolute unit. He's the fittest he's ever been, I reckon. Just watching him, I haven't heard that. But good, congratulations to him. I mean, honestly, he's earned that. He's a real pro now, and he's been in, probably almost 10 years in the comp.
Yeah.
So Adam Treloar, on the weekend, I just noted it. I just watched him do his thing, and I just thought he probably stepped up to the challenge of playing Sydney's midfield on the weekend, noting that he's going up against the best midfield in the comp, and he wanted to put his foot in there and say, no, I'm here. But
19 contested possessions. You gotta love that.
It was an absolute ball, and I didn't see it coming.
So many.
I would have thought, the Bont maybe or something, but not Treloar. But he honestly almost did enough.
Treloar's pretty. I feel like we're bringing him up every week, man.
We are, and I would love to get Wheels'
samosa.
Well, not his samosa, but just his coach's votes on the game. Maybe he'll send them through to the group during the week, and we can find them.
Maybe he will, or maybe he'll be a selfish prick.
But yeah, I mean, just many a contributor. I mean, even Riley West again kicking a couple, and
thank you very much.
He had his little 14 touches, but Warner for me quiet, only 11 touches, and I didn't notice, but obviously the Dogs maybe put a bit of attention into him, so that was very well played by the Doggies there to have him have a quiet one. And yeah, I mean, everything's just coming up Millhouse for the Doggies, isn't it? I mean, Bailey Dale down the back at the moment, and Norton doing his thing, floating around both ends of the ground. And, can't wrap the Doggies up enough, can we?
Well, I can give them a shout-out. I want to give Cody Waitman the shit prick of the year, of the round.
Straight?
My God, I had a decent multi-down.
We
had a decent-sized multi-down. Doggies to win. Yep, got that in the bag. Riley West to kick a goal anytime. Yep, got that in the bag. Ugle-Hagan 2 or more. Yep, got that in the bag. Treloar most disposals. Of course, we got that one in the bag. Knock that out of the park. Cody Waitman 2 or more goals. Cody Waitman 2 or more goals. Rabes.
If you were his coach this week, what would you be making him do at training?
I'm fucking kicking the fucking ball at the fucking thing. And 3 fucking behinds. Who the fuck do you think you are? You're playing AFL football, buddy. And my multi's riding on this.
I reckon you drop him if you were his coach this week. You go, oi, buddy. You know what I mean? And you'd make a point of letting him know. Not just goal kicking. He's a shit prick. Drop him.
Yeah, well.
And then bring him back through the resis.
Scoring accuracy 0%. Fucking piece of shit.
But apart from that, though, well played Doggies.
Well played Doggies, though. Yeah. Doggies, don't want to take anything away from Doggies.
I'm so glad I tipped them too, actually. It's like I felt like that result was going to happen.
I can't believe anybody tipped the Doggies. Yeah. Except Rick, of course. Always believe Rick tips the Doggies,
that 100%. Well, yeah, I mean, but does Rick's tips really count?
No, well, he's at the bottom of the comp, so I guess.
I don't take him too seriously. But
no, if you're not in the hunt, you're not a threat.
Occasionally he nails a roughie.
Get out of here. Yeah. Yeah, no, he does get something, but he goes out on a limb a lot, you know. And then when you go out on a limb that much, you get smacked down.
Unless you're tipping in NRL.
All right, but what an upset! Oh my God. Good stuff to you, Rick. Really, love to see a mate enjoy a good win over a solid club like Sydney. Sydney on the decline,
and I believe the Rezzies down at Moorabbin had a win on the weekend too against Clayton in the BT Cup. So Rick was very happy to let me know that it looks like there will be finals for Moorabbin this year, and the finals will be getting played at Cheltenham. So he let me know all this information yesterday, and yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to add Sydney have won one of their last 5. And that one game was against North Melbourne, and they smacked them round the park. Every other one, beaten.
Can we mention the teams that went into that winning? So St Kilda.
St Kilda's one of them, 2 points.
We've had Doggies, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
We had... Who else were the other 2?
I'll tell you.
Port? No.
No, close.
Wasn't Adelaide, was it?
No. Freo by 1 point. The first one to break their
That's
long
right. So
drought.
that started them losing a handful of games.
The Freo game, followed up by Saints. They bounced back against North and then lost to Brisbane at the Gabba, which is fair enough. 2 points, that's fine. And then, yeah, copped their biggest loss
Well, so
off of Doggies.
I heard a really good stat by Derby on the radio, and he said that only 1 or 2 teams over the last, I can't remember how far back he went, but I think he might have gone to 2000 or maybe 1990. I think it was 1990, or since AFL.
Yeah.
Only 1 or 2 teams have gone through the whole year undefeated. So I think maybe Essendon were one, no, but they didn't go through undefeated. Or no, sorry, have lost 1 game for the year. So we had 2 teams, which was like 10%. 2 losses was a pretty strong percentage as well. But then by the time you got to 3 losses and 4 losses, it almost goes back to 50% of the times that team went on to win the grand final. So unless you've only lost 1 or 2 games, you're an 80 or 90% chance of winning the grand final. But as soon as you get to 3 or 4 losses, you're now coming back to the pack at more than 50% ratio to only win the grand final. So stats don't lie. And so if you break
And
that
the numbers
down,
spell disaster.
I think it was since AFL got incepted, so about 30 years now. Which coming up to, what's that, 5 losses now for Sydney, or 4?
4 out of the last 5 games.
So 5 losses, because they had
So
1 to
5 all up.
Richmond,
Yep,
which we mention every week.
Yeah, they're 6 points behind.
So they've still got a buffer.
6 points in front of Brisbane and Fremantle.
But the 5 losses is the concerning thing to me. And to be a top of the ladder side with 5 losses, maybe 6, could be 7, which probably wouldn't almost have them top anymore.
Well, look.
How
Up
strong
until
are you?
spot number 7, they're all within 2 games of Sydney.
Which makes it a very close season. But I'll also give Sydney a credit in the bank by 3 of those losses being 1 point, 2 points, 2 points.
That is true.
And 2 of them being with kicks after the siren. So
Yeah, one of them was like a solid, comfortable win, and the rest was sort of like, eh.
So yeah, says that the numbers are interesting. But
Well, actually, it was my definition of a thumping. Just remember, my definition of a thumping, 36 points or more. That's the line. 39 points, it's just, but it's just a thumping.
No, so it's a good line. I like it.
Yeah, well, you gotta be consistent.
I call it 39.5.
Well, let's just have a quick look at St Kilda's run home, because, all this is interesting. They got Port Adelaide this week.
You mean Sydney's run home. You said St Kilda.
Sorry, I meant Sydney. Port Adelaide this week at Port.
Ooh.
Collingwood at the SCG. I feel like that's an easy one. Essendon at Marvel Stadium. That's an easy one.
Pretty winnable.
And then they don't tell you the 4th one because it hasn't actually got a specific date. Alright, or anything like that. Adelaide at the G. Oh my god, they've got such an easy run home. I don't think they're going to lose another game. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it right now.
They should get the top 2. I mean, look, all you got to do is get top 2 with a list that's fit enough to get through and win 3 or 4 games. So
yeah.
I think they're eyeing that off, and they know, and they'll be ready for a big final. Don't even worry about that.
I think
Still
they're
had
fine.
it as my pre-season prediction, and
they've got a lot of teams to build momentum off.
I
That's
may
for damn
have
sure.
added Brisbane to that.
They might be there. Alright, let's move on to the next game, the last game of the round. Adelaide versus Hawthorn at Adelaide Oval. Adelaide, 8-10-58 to Hawthorn. 19-10, 124. Hawthorn by 66 points. Smacking Adelaide across the face. Calling them their bitch.
Oh, more than a bitch.
I love this one. this is what propelled me into seconds. Like, propelled me, gave me another tip lead above the tipping comp. So now I'm one clear of third place. But I am four spots clear from you. I've got to catch up to you 4 spots.
Yes, well, bad luck about that. I mean, I don't think I'll be releasing 4 spots this year. But,
I'm going to be stealing your phone. Did I not tell you?
Hey, you've attempted. Every week you've attempted to steal my phone. But every week you failed.
Every week you've thwarted me so far. You've thwarted my effort.
I keep remembering to take it home.
It's insane. I keep trying to hypnotise him to forget, and it just doesn't work. But anyway, Hawthorn.
Well, back to the game, yes.
Damn.
Where do we go?
Charging for the 8?
Hawthorn to me are just a team that they see no limit right now. And I really like where the no limit takes a team, because let's just win a few games has turned into
finals contention.
Well, I mean, it didn't really. It was sort of, there was a middle ground there where I don't know what we call it, but now it's just a dead set run of finals, and I think it's given them the impetus they need, because they would have pictures on the wall of probably silly articles that got written early in the year and after round 4 and 5 when they were 0-4, saying, all sorts of horrible things.
Done. Bottom of the barrel. So joining North and West Coast.
They'd be loving this, and guys like Ginnivan.
Well deserved.
They all love the attention of the chase. So hats off to them for being in the position. But now it really starts, and I just think it probably will be what catches up with them is their inexperience in being in this position in the last few years. So let's keep it realistic here that even if maybe they do sneak through, I think they're going to run a pretty long race just to get there, still with 4 games to go. But I just feel like Sammy Mitchell's got him on the right path, doesn't he? And I don't even know who my favourite player is at Hawthorn at the moment now. I always liked Impey. I always just for some reason thought that Jarman Impey was just a real fun, good player, and he's playing really well. But Sicily as well at the moment, he just leads by example, and I love Jakey Scrimshaw, just, knowing family connection there as well, and he's just a real good fella.
Yeah, John Newcomb, you got to give
Ginnivan. But I was going to save him for last, because I think on a new favourite at Hawthorn. The scruffy hair of Jai Newcomb. I love the name, Jai. It's a great name. And
spelt shit though.
Yeah, but it's still Jai.
It's still Jai, but spelt shit. Spelt the worst way. Yeah.
And mate, the man, he's just on at the moment, and he's kicked a couple of sausage rolls on the weekend, and he's just tough. And I think he epitomises what Hawthorn Footy Club is. He's like the Jordan Lewis of the last era. He's just in your face. He'll cop a broken nose just to get through the game, and not tell anyone until after the game. It almost reminds me a bit of a Steelo, the way he used to just run like a bull. I
don't know Steelo that well in that regard.
Just like straight lines, like you just think about...
He works in straight lines?
Guys like, the attack on the footy, like a Rick Parker or like just straight line.
Now I know how Rick Parker tackles the footy.
Yeah, like Newcomb. If you want to... then you don't have to go down... Did you go to the game on the weekend?
I did.
The local footy?
Yeah, I was secretly there. I was having a bit of a gaze. I'm like, oh yeah. And then I left and I was thinking like, haha, nobody's going to know I was here.
Well, no one did know you there.
Yeah.
But, and Carl Amon as well, another little shout out for Hawthorn here. Real special little player at the moment, going real well, sneaking forward. And, a lot to like about Hawthorn. Even Watson kicked 2 goals.
Watson?
Yeah, he's real handy at the moment, young Watson. I think it's Nick Watson. But,
yeah, because I'm still a little hazy on a lot of Hawthorn
players. Me too, actually, but I've heard about him a few times.
Yeah.
And there he is, another 2 goals on the weekend. So
I'm sure if we just keep covering these games, like we'll start hearing a bit more about them. But they're still a bit fresh, Like, as I say, we know Ginnivan. I keep hearing about John Newcomb ripping it up. What, Bruce? Is that another one?
Yeah, I don't know if he played on the weekend. Just check. Brilliant. I feel like he was out.
Fair enough. Well, he's just another player that's good for him. That's my point.
And
But,
also,
yeah.
can I give one more shout out as well?
Just
I don't
one
know
more, and then we'll move on.
if I'm stealing your Steve Irwin or not.
So, no, I'm not giving
This
a
isn't
Steve.
a
No,
Steve
just
Irwin.
can't be.
No, but I'm just I hope I'm not stealing your one.
Hey, look, I could just add it and say it's a Steve Owen.
Lord Meek. I mean, if he ain't your favourite ruckman in the comp at the moment, Lloydie, wow,
Lloyd
Meek,
Meek, jeez. Is he?
Oh,
you tell me.
He's a big bull in the middle, and he's playing his body size properly. He's acting dumb. He's running straight through people, and he's doing it all perfectly within the letter of the law. And he's one to watch, and he's quite noble and nimble too. So he's really winning his own. How many touches did he get on the weekend? He had 11, but 35 hitouts.
Yeah, well, that's the job, the hitouts. So
It is.
yeah. All right, well, thank you. But I feel like you're being a bit of a smart ass, so I'll just move on to footy tipping results.
Yes, you picked it up. I didn't.
All right, you fucking smart ass. All right, let's go. Footy tipping results. Big shout out this week to Mr. Atomic Shadows.
Oh, Atomic.
This is Dave.
This is Dave Ruby.
Dave Raby. You got perfect game. 9 out of 9.
Well bowled.
Lovely. Did forget to put his tips on Friday night. So we got Port Adelaide as the automatic away team, but that's not how it works. It's fine.
He
You got
then
9 out of
clean
9.
them up.
You got 9 out of 9.
It's like playing a spare. So he didn't get the strike, but he got a nice spare.
Yeah. Well, you got something.
Because he didn't put the first tip in. It's like not perfect.
And now I'll reveal. Don't usually do this, but the lowest. The player that tipped the lowest got a 2 out of 9.
Kirsty.
How bad is that?
Wow.
Kirsty. No, my God. I'm so sorry to hear.
I
But
saw it on National Night
Come on.
News.
should have been.
It was
tragic.
That's how I knew it was Kirsty.
You know, there's a lot of tragedies out there, and this is a big one.
No, they
This is
had
a
it.
big one.
It led the bulletin.
Did it now.
Yeah.
Alright,
Should
well,
bounce back there.
look, thankfully, this week, because usually I'm like, alright, I'll tell everybody their positions that's on the pod this week, and then I'll do the top 5 or whatever. This week, I need to do that.
I think we already did it.
We're both in the top 5.
Yeah.
So I just need to read the top 5, and then bam, check out. We're out of here.
Why don't you show you the top 2, bro?
I say, bro, set precedent for top 5, alright?
Yeah.
Alright, 5 names get read out, alright?
Quick snooze so you get to the number 1.
Number 5, Molian, down a spot. So sad. So sad. Too bad. Yeah, so down a spot on 111. And then, my so I can't tell the difference. I think it's my mother. Down a spot to a fourth with 112. Then my father on 113.
So your dad's on top of your mum.
Just don't say it like that. Please don't say it like that. Coming in at number 2. It's yours truly, Mr. 9 out of 9 Norman.
Pleasure to be in your company.
On 113, beating out my dear old pa on percentage, on, margin. And then, coming in first, this fucking guy, getting an 8, just nailing it down. 117, 4 points up from second place, aka me.
That's what happens.
But I will gain you. I will get to you, alright? By the end of the year.
They call me the footy buff.
And snatch you bold.
The people at work, most of the people I work with, one person, Paddy, he calls me the footy buff. I used to call him the footy buff because he used to know so much, but he's imparted it all on me, and I now take all his knowledge as the footy buff.
I think he's calling you the footy nuff.
No,
I think you got to be careful with that. I think he's saying nuff.
I'm pretty sure he said buff.
So he's the footy nuff.
Yes, thank you for all your information there, Patrick, and been using it wisely this season.
Very well. Thank you very much, pretty boy Patrick
All
Raby.
his intel that he does, all the numbers in the pre-season, like everything, it all combines.
I just wish he cared enough about his mates to do the pod once.
He's busy.
Yeah, I know. He's busy not caring about his mates. Oh, I know how it is. I don't care about my mates either. Fucking prick.
He rang me just when I was on my way here, and I answered, anticipating, thinking that maybe he knew that we were down on a few tonight, and I said, "Oh, Paddy, I'm heading to Nathan's," and he said,
Can I borrow money from you?
No, just letting you know that we're not working tomorrow now. And I said, so now you can come to the pod. And he goes, no, can't.
Nope, still busy.
And pretended that he had somewhere else to go.
Of course he did. Always does. This guy. He's your mate.
So now
no, I hope he does watch it.
Unemployed for a whole 24-hour period.
Come on. That's how it is. Good for you. I've got work very early in the morning and I don't like it. But this is where we're at. Alright, moving on to Wheels of Fortune. Mr. Big Wheel Ryan Fenton cannot join us tonight because he's a bum.
Shit tipper.
And he is a shit tipper. And he has passed on the newest eviction of the All Footy All Wheels of Corruption Challenge. Drum roll, please. Melbourne. He's selected Melbourne. So the anti-Melbourne bias within the All for Footy community shines through once again. Thankfully, I picked Melbourne as the team because I knew I was counting on his bias. The correct answer being Essendon, as we all know the correct answer is. But unfortunately,
I think either answer is sufficient.
It has to be Essendon. Essendon had to have gone.
Have doggies been pulled out yet?
No.
Okay, no.
No, when doggies get pulled out, I'm done.
Hawthorn have. Yeah, alright. So you need doggies to win the flag.
I need doggies, essentially, yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting
and to get everyone
Hawthorn having been pulled out, if they were to go on a run and win the flag. But Wheels of Fortune isn't it alive at the moment? And make sure, everybody, that you're aware that this week the game starts at 7:15. So get your selections and your tips, but your Wheels of Fortune, more importantly. Make sure you don't leave it till 7:30 or 7:40. Get them in at before 7.
Get them in!
Get them in!
That's what she said.
That's what Wheels would have said if he was here.
That's what Wheels says and she says. They both say it together. Alright.
Is that why they say that's what it says?
That's why they say that's what it says.
That's what it says.
Alright, well.
Just do it.
Let's move on to this week's games.
Alright, good talk.
So, Ravi, I want you to vamp a little bit. Do you know what vamping is?
Hurry up.
No. Vamping is like, hey, I'm going to do something real quick. Can you fill the air with some rambling while I go do this thing? Because I won't be at my mic being able to talk, so I need you to vamp. So I need you to, continue the conversation. All right, so the first game of the round.
Give me a vamp now.
No, I'll get into the game first, and then you can vamp about the game.
Give me a signal. Give me like a little.
I'll get up.
Yeah.
I'll get up.
Okay,
Get off the couch. All right, you'll see. You'll see. Don't worry. All right. So it will be Friday night football at Marvel Stadium, Melbourne versus Footscray. It actually says Footscray. Footscray versus Melbourne. This is like Footscray round or some shit.
Oh no! Well, Rick told me that they were naming themselves Footscray for this round, so maybe. Like Melbourne called themselves, what did Melbourne call themselves?
For 2 rounds,
so maybe Footscray are dating back to their heritage of Footscray again.
Man, they should just stay Footscray.
No, go stuff it. I mean, St Kilda should call themselves Nangertown, really, but...
Alright, and you know what we said about vamping before? Here's the signal.
Oh, okay, that's the signal. Cool. Oh, so, yes, currently just on a little hiatus where I thought I'd just tell you all about how I make a new spaghetti bolognese that I've been making at home. You get your chunk of meat, but instead of putting it in the pan and breaking it apart heaps to make it into like a real mincy spaghetti, you just cook it as a burger patty. You don't do anything else, and then you just literally make one massive meat of mince as a burger patty. Then you get the biggest piece of bread or roll you can get and just cut it in half instead of slicing it into like 10 bits of bread. Then you have just like 5 cheese slices, or even even more if you want, with a heap of sauce, and then you put the thing back on top. But you got to make sure when you cook the big mince chunk that you cook it through. So you got to do a solid, I reckon, 30 minutes to 40 minutes, and try not let it break. So don't cook it on the highest temp throughout the whole thing, because it'll burn. So you've really got to start it off with a lot of oil, get it going. Get it nice and crispy and cooked, but then turn it down low, but just keep cooking it so the heat gets through. And there's your burger. You can have the biggest burger you want. There's really no end to the size of the burger you can make. You just got to think big.
Cool. What do you think about Doggies versus Melbourne?
Oh, well, alright, back to it. So, oh, well, I mean, I've got to tip the Dogs here in a bit of a safety tip, I think.
I feel like you gave more fucking commentary on Sydney versus North Melbourne last week, you piece of shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not giving the D's a huge chance here, just on Doggies' current form.
You can't give D's any chance.
No, I mean, you can, though, because at the moment they've been showing little bits. But, I mean, I just think the Dogs' juggernaut is just going to probably end up winning this by, a solid, almost a shellacking.
Almost a shellacking.
What do you call it? A flogging.
A thumping.
A thumping, that's it.
Taking them to the old wood chipper.
I reckon you could have
Yeah, well, I think Doggy's going to take Melbourne to the wood chipper.
Yeah. I mean, the writing's on the wall, but Melbourne have found ways to keep themselves in games.
They have. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do beat Doggies. But
I don't see them beating them.
I don't see them doing that.
Dull the game down for long enough that it frustrates the Doggies and they don't play that well.
Look, Melbourne can win games that they shouldn't win. Yeah. And Melbourne have done that before. And Doggies have been unpredictable at times this year. They have been up and down. At the moment, they're up. It's only a matter of time before they go down. But as I said, they've got the list. They've got the talent. And as I was saying weeks ago, they should sack Bevo because they've got the talent. Look at who they've got on their team. Look at where they are on the ladder. Wasn't good enough. Now, all right. We'll see what you got. So yeah, I'm going for the Western Flag Dogs. I think they'll get there. So we'll move on to the next game. Another conundrum for us.
Gets harder this round.
West Coast versus Gold Coast at Optus Stadium.
Oh wow!
Gold Coast away, but the curse has been broken from Brisbane last week. They could get this victory. They can get this dub.
I think I'm leaning towards West Coast here. I mean, West Gold Coast haven't showed to me that they're going to travel this year, and I don't see the novelty changing 2 weeks in a row where they lose at home, but then they go and win on the road. They get their hand off it.
They broke the seal. It's coming.
The seal. So you reckon they're
a good team beat them at home, and they're going to beat a bad team away. That's what's going to be happening.
Does help they're playing a bad team.
Does help. If it was any other team, just about, I probably wouldn't be back.
But what about the endeavour that West Coast showed in the first half against Freo? Against Flagmantle. So, it gives them some credit to show that they're going to be up for the fight at home against a team that don't know which way's up and down when they travel. So
yeah, but Gold Coast can still towel up really good teams. And I know you're saying it's travel. I totally agree.
I feel like Gold Coast's last
that
4 games...
That gone now,
Their last 4 games have been tipsters' nightmares. They've just bugged the tipsters.
They have. Did they beat a really good team at home and then lose to a shit team at away?
I'm going for West Coast. I'm doing it because I think with the new coach again, I think they're going to want to win a game this year. And I know they've got North coming up, but it's in Tassie, I think I might be right in saying.
Uh-huh.
So I think this is the one for West Coast. They've got Gold Coast at home before a couple more travels. I just think... they might eye this one off as one where they can maybe get a win for a few of the retiring stars. And
yeah, look, I think West Coast
against the team now.
I reckon West Coast.
The Q's probably going in that rack.
Not only going to be beaten, West Coast are going to get towed up. Matty Rowley's going to bring his towel. He's going to towel him up.
Maybe Gold Coast will play carefree footy final.
Maybe. All right, well, let's move on to another game. A very close game.
Who are you tipping?
I just said Gold Coast.
Oh, Gold Coast, right.
North Melbourne versus Richmond at Marvel Stadium Saturday football. Close one. What do you reckon, Reeves?
North Melbourne versus who?
Richmond.
Yeah, no, so North Melbourne, yeah.
Alright, so just North Melbourne. Alright, well, yeah, I'm going to go just North Melbourne too. Richmond is shit. Fuck Richmond.
How many times this year have you just said North Melbourne, both of us, and then we've moved on to another game? No, 0.
No, 0.
That was good.
That was quick as well.
Jeez, maybe Richmond would rate themselves for a win here too.
Well, if they're going to win one, it wouldn't be against Sydney.
I've put North in for this one. Actually, all week it's probably been one of the few games I've been set on. Because, like I said before, with Zohar signing, maybe it's a big week at the club, and with Sheasel and a handful of them, I reckon they'll get them up and about.
And they want to show, like, hey, we're going to come back next year.
Yeah.
You watch us.
They can play a depleted Richmond here and probably maybe push a side over. Wouldn't that be great for them? But don't want to go winning too many games now, do you? So it's...
True. But, you know...
Especially with West Coast to come. Imagine Northland 2 in a row.
Could be done. Alright, next game. Geelong versus Adelaide, GMHBA Stadium, Saturday afternoon football.
What a game. You know this will be a good game because Adelaide's season done. They're just going to give it their all. Geelong, you know, they're getting a couple of good games here, aren't they? With North last week and Adelaide. You know, you call it a very winnable game.
Yeah, I would.
So, yeah, we'll go to the Cats, but just make sure they just keep that pressure up all day. You know, I mean, Ollie Henry's one of my favourite players in the comp at the moment, and he's doing it all. Real good young player, and I think he's the sort of bloke that Geelong will get around if the wins keep coming through. Hopefully he doesn't party too hard after the game.
Look, I think it'll be Geelong. Every day of the week at home against this team.
Should be. Gonna tip them.
Adelaide have been not too bad, but they did just lose to Hawthorn. And I think Geelong is a decent side, especially at home.
They've got to get in. I reckon if they just get in the finals this year, Geelong,
I think
back themselves to beat anyone in any game. So I think that's where their eyes at this year. They know they're building again. For 1 or 2 more years, I've probably been really strong with a few. Interesting game, isn't it?
Yeah, it will be. Into another interesting game, or maybe not so. Saturday night football at the G. Collingwood versus Carlton.
This is game of the round for me, but
you reckon?
Not on the billing of the match. I actually think it's going to be a little bit of a dull game. I think both teams don't want to lose, especially not to this opposition. You know, it's going to be a really high-pressured, full crowd, epic crowd, and if you put your boots in there for a minute, it's almost a finals-like pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of probably both seasons really hanging in the brink right now. Carlton got to make the top 4 minimum.
Yeah.
Collingwood just have to win. So, I just love this game on that aspect. So, probably not going to be what you call probably one of the better games, but the loser isn't there. I mean, Collingwood, they can lose, you know, I don't want to be too shocked.
I think they'll lose again.
If Carlton lose, I see Collingwood winning this. They've been sneaky this year, and their form, you know, although they've lost 1 or 2, I just think they rally for a champion. And if they go down with one more big swing this year, well then let's make it against Carlton. And, wouldn't they love nothing more to really push them further and further down the ladder?
Well, look,
next thing you know, Collingwood will be above Carlton on the ladder.
I don't think I'll be tipping Collingwood again this year, except for maybe against Melbourne.
I'm going to leave everyone hanging out there. You might have to
check back,
find out next week. But at this stage, for a tip, so I might change, but I'm going to go with Collingwood.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
I'm really liking this, what they'll bring, and there might be too much pressure on Carlton here.
Look, I'm going to go for Carlton.
Being fumbly.
I'm going to go for Carlton.
Mackay's out too.
Yeah, look.
Shit.
It's Collingwood. Collingwood is shit ass.
Yeah, but they bring a lot of forward pressure, and at the moment, Carlton don't actually look like scoring a lot, all of a sudden. And if Collingwood can bang on maybe only 10 or 12, it might be enough here, so...
Look,
it's very easy just to tip Carlton in this game, I think, but I'm just really liking maybe Collingwood.
I just don't see myself tipping Collingwood
again. What are the odds?
$1.50 to $2.60.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We'll see. Next game, it is Saturday night football at Adelaide Oval. Port Adelaide versus Sydney.
Again, this is just barnstormingly huge. I mean...
It's burning down all the barns.
Oh, Billy Joel will be sitting in his room trying to come up with another song to rendition that last one.
Maybe,
you know, throw out a bit of a modern day spin on it, you know, like... And, you know, I don't think he'd be able to come up with the lines without putting Port Adelaide and Sydney in it. You know, because they're just right up there in your forefront of your mind all the time. That's why I've been thinking about this game all week. The way it plays out, it's just...
At this point, Port Adelaide are favourites.
Wow, really?
$1.89, $1.95 Sydney.
Yeah, and I'm really liking Port. I mean, I actually feel like Port can win this game by 5 goals.
I would not be surprised if they do. Sydney have been, just pulling up short a little bit.
Up at home, Port, they can get scoring.
Well, look, I think Sydney are going to win. I think it might be close, but I think Sydney are going to win. Sydney have to win.
The motto is
they've lost too much.
The top 10 make it a peril, isn't it? I mean, Port's 7th.
7th?
So you've got first, 7th, but yet you've got 7th coming in favourite.
Well, it is at a Port's home.
It is. They've had a good form.
Sydney's had a few losses in the past 5 games.
It all checks out on the balances.
But yeah,
Sydney,
come on.
I am committing to a Port Adelaide tip.
Yep, go on the favourites. Fair enough. I'm going Sydney because I don't tip all favourites.
That's a good motto.
Nah, Sydney's surely going to be favourites when we get close to the game. Surely. I don't see them not.
It's not about his favourite for a minute. It's about... Sydney, the breaks have just come on a bit, and I feel like a few of their forwards, like Amadi, ever since he kicked that 9 goals, he's only kicked 4 goals since in 5 games. So it's less
the
than
next
one
game he
per
didn't
game.
kick 1.
No, so... they're a bit concerning there when it's not going their way, Sydney. They can look a little bit average, and with the midfield not firing all of a sudden, maybe they are a bit more run-of-the-mill than we gave them credit for. So, Port running on top of the ground.
Yeah, well.
Carlton and Sydney on the slide. Who would have thought a few weeks ago?
Yeah, no, who would have? But hey, it's happening. I'm here for it. All right, next game. Sunday football. At the Monaco Oval, GWS versus Hawthorn. Reeves.
Oh, wow. Doesn't get any easy, does it?
This one's a hard one, I think. Yeah, this one's a very hard one.
Yeah, I think I've just got the Giants ahead at the moment. Like I said before about the long season for Hawthorn, and they've had some great wins.
Yeah.
Travelled to Adelaide. I mean, they've been down to Tassie a few times, so... Yeah, thinking travelling up to Canberra now this week. But they love the travel, Hawthorn, so I don't think it seems to scare them, being, a young side and full of beans.
So many beans.
Yeah, I mean, Giants at home, though, I mean, they've just got a lot to play for with a strong side, and their matchups probably might be a little bit strong for Hawthorn. So maybe Hawthorn have to play out of their skin to win this one.
Yeah, well, look, they could. This one could really go either way, really.
It could, but I just feel like the Giants probably have to be off a bit more to win, where maybe the Hawks... that's a good way.
Yeah.
But you never know. I mean, the Hawks...
You don't know.
Rally them.
But, hey, we got to tip who we think is going to win at this moment. So I'm going to back GWS for now. I think they're good shot. Good shot of just beating them. Alright, well... We'll just move on to the next game then. It is Essendon versus Fremantle at the MCG. Sunday afternoon football, Reeves.
Oh, Lord. I mean, I've put a dagger in Essendon's season.
I feel like you have to at this point.
I mean, look, we're going to go with Freo. But yeah, I mean, it just adds that element of one last, like all of a sudden you think you've killed someone and they're down and like they're not moving anymore, but then all of a sudden you're like, oh, hold on, they've got one more breath. And then all of a sudden they're up and then they're back in the season. So that could be Essendon right now. Maybe this is it.
I don't think so.
They win by a handful of goals and then they never look back and they win the flag and it's all started from Sunday at the G. But yeah, I'm not buying it. And I think Freo will do enough to really slow Essendon up here. I mean, they're not going to get the game on their terms for much of the game. So, yeah, Freo.
Yep, Freo as well. Essendon, I can't see them coming out of this nosedive they're in right now. They're spiraling out of control, and they're going to be on Wheels of Fortune next week for sure, I'd say, for sure. Alright, well, let's move on to the final game of the round. St Kilda versus Brisbane at Marvel Stadium.
Paul Steele.
Reeves, what are you doing? Paul Steele, you reckon? You reckon Paul Steele?
Oh, look, no one likes to lose, do they?
No, they don't.
I just feel like after the game, he'll be ruining the fact that he tips St Kilda.
Ruining.
Yeah, tipped Brisbane. He'll be livid.
Do you think everybody will be? Because everybody will tip Brisbane.
Well, no, because everyone will think that everyone tipped them, but then they'll look and realise that even I'll probably tip them. But I don't know. I mean, there's still something about what the Saints are doing that makes me feel like being at Marvel is the one reason why. You know what I mean? This game's could be more even than we realise. I mean, our runs, we're just going to run and gun all day and try and kick 100 points again.
Yep.
And when we played Brizzy last time, was actually one of the few times we kicked 100 points up at the Gabba.
Okay, yeah.
So we have form against playing them head-to-head with being a scoring match. So I'm really confused on who to tip here.
It shouldn't be that confusing, man.
I know.
One team's season is done, the other is a contender.
And my motto at the start of the year is you do well in tips when your team does well. And I went back to it last week and it paid dividends.
It did help last week. Alright, tip St Kilda then.
Well, so I probably will.
Don't do it.
I'm going to St Kilda.
Alright, there we go.
But if I come up with a great reason why, I'll change it.
I think you'll change it.
No, I don't think I will.
Alright, I'm back in Brisbane because of course. Why wouldn't I back Brisbane? Second on the ladder against fucking St Puda.
Hey, you take that back. We're not St Puda.
I would never take it back. St Puda. Alright. Moving on to closing thoughts. My closing thoughts? Bruce Rando. Streaming this weekend. Streaming last weekend.
Oh.
Always streaming.
Every week.
Every week. Last week was an MCU tier ranking. He ranked all the MCU movies. And yeah, talked about them and stuff. It was a fun time. A lot of people jumping in the chat. A lot of people for his calibre.
Did he shout out the Aussies at the Olympics?
He shouted out Australian actors in the MCU movies. That's about it.
Okay, so no Olympics, Jan.
No Olympics.
Yeah.
Alright, well.
Shout out to Jack Robertson too. I mean,
Shout out.
Give yours, Steve Earl. Can I give yours away?
No, you can't give mine away. No, it only comes out every now and then.
Yeah, have you heard what happened?
Don't care.
So they're at Chopu for the Olympics. For the France Olympics, and for some reason they're in bloody Chopu, which is like Tahiti or something. And he had to get rescued after getting bombed by a massive wave, and then got one on the head, and then got another one on the head, and got sucked out about 100 metres out to the back of the thing.
Wow, skill issue.
And he had to get rescued,
Oof.
and still won his heat.
Oh, good for
So
him.
shout out to the man. I'd give you a Steve Irwin if we had one left in the bag.
But we don't, we're all out. No, we
We're all
don't.
out.
No, well.
And goes through to the final in an all-Aussie final, I believe. So we might be destined to get a bronze, silver and gold in that. Or maybe
Absolutely.
so yeah, well done Jackie Robb, and survived a bloody mega takedown and gets through to the final. And shout out to the Aussie 4x4 women's who are just killing it. They're going strength to strength with another gold.
Alright, wrap it up. Okay, alright. That's it from us at All for Footy. And we're